Kruno on Islam, Part 2. Hello YouTube, today is 22nd November 2015 and this is second part on Kruno on Islam. So thank you Pranay, you asked me a good question. Why they say it's a religion of peace and why Dalai Lama said that Islam is a religion of peace. So first things first. To explain you what means from the Islamic point of view, Islam is a religion of peace, and what means the quotation, when man kills an innocent life, it's like killing whole world, and vice versa. First of all, from Islamic point of view, it's word is described like this. You have Dar al-Islam, you have the House of Islam, and pretty much what is not in that House of Islam is basically house of war and chaos. So the spread of Islam is the spread of the peace, and meaning Islam is religion of peace, and I've been talking about this before, means Islam is peace on earth will come when Islam is the only religion, and all other religions and philosophies have been wiped out before that. So this is the meaning from the Islamic point of view, because if it's not Allah, then it's got to be the opposite. It's got to be the shaitan, it's got to be the devil. So you have to understand the Islamic worldview. You know that they believe in Allah. That also means that they believe in the existence of shaitan. So if you're not slave of Allah, you are basically slave of shaitan. Therefore, that means Islam is religion of peace because it's bringing the rule of God on the earth and etc. Of course, it also says that kafir, infidels, must not know about this in Quran. So this is also reason they'll have all tactics allowed to fight for the God. So lying is one of them, no problem. Second thing, killing innocent person. No kafir, no Christian, no Jew, no Buddhist, no atheist, no liberal, no gay, no lesbian, even if they pay to promote Islam, are gonna end up in heaven. They all will go to hell. Every single one of them, apart from Muslims, and with the Muslims, it's also it's a question what kind of lives they led. Then this is second topic. But first, the important thing: if you're not a Muslim, you are going straight to hell. Period. Okay, and that means innocent people are those who are innocent in the eyes of Allah, and these are the good, pious Muslims. So, no, Islam is not considering innocent people to be those who are attending rock concerts and showing devil signs and things obviously inspired by the devil. These are not innocent people according to Islam. So now, question is, why so many Muslims observe these things in a wrong view from the Islamic point of view? And I have to say I'm not a Muslim, because I know that to many people I can sound like extremist Islamic, but that's only because I'm interpreting Quran to the basic meaning what it is without trying to disguise it. And so the main reason why majority of Muslims, or so-called pop Muslims, are dead is basically fear. They don't have enough guts to follow the real Islam, so they hide behind the explanations, which actually you really have to have lots of footnotes to interpret kill all infidels as like, oh well, really that was not really so, or quotations when they start running chop their limbs crosswise or choke them or kill them some other way and so on and so on. It's like Quran is full of the brutal parts. These parts are not exceptions. These parts are part of the context. I know, because I was really hoping when I took Quran in my hands that maybe it's only one quotation, top two. This is what I expected. What I found is I didn't really expect that at all. So on top of that, my best friend at that time lied to me that these things don't exist in Quran. I mean, naive. At that time, I was reading like 2, 3, 4 books a month. Why he thought that I'm not gonna be able to take Quran and read it? I read half. I always gonna admit that I didn't read it all. I read Another thing regarding and this is now a complex thing because now I'm really entering into like trying to explain programming, um, how Islam gonna work in different parts of the world. That basically depends what Lucifer plans for this part of the world. Everything is going on according to the plan of metaphysical evil or the Illuminati. So when they want Muslims to be peaceful somewhere, they're gonna be peaceful. They're gonna tell them in mosques, be good, pray, pay your taxes, and that's it. And they're gonna be like that. And when they want to incinerate the world, first they're gonna start with different terrorist groups from this side and another side because they will control all sides, and then they're gonna militarize masses by telling them that they are of course in danger from the kafir. And they have in Quran all the parts that need to cover that to justify. And even to prove in the reality, because Muslim mass is going to be targeted, because we are coming to the civil war, big war in Europe, and also it's already here, simply going to escalate. It's, I think, evident even to many leftists these days. And you know, another explanation. Try to imagine Islam as my arm. So terrorists that a skinny guy with 22-year-old with a Kalashnikov from Paris, he's just a small finger. But you have to calculate who gave him birth, who gave him a life. It was a mother. And who brought mother to France? It was a father. Okay, when he came. Who supported them? The whole community, Muslim community. But on top of that, who gave them apartments? Who gave them medical coverage? Who gave him a birth? Who was doing his dental work? Who was giving him 550 euros per month? It was the French state. Okay, and this is as well where evil is, where the Illuminati are. You have to understand. And this is why this problem not gonna go away. If well, of course, you guys understand that if they bring more army and more police on the street, and well, how the whole plan, they're gonna control for the New World Order and a police state, and essentially cleaning the farm or calling the cattle as they call it. But we're gonna do the work for them. We're gonna do the dirty work. We're gonna kill each other as any war, because people are stupid. That's why. So another thing is what honest Muslims could actually interpret, why they actually interpret their religion as a peaceful religion honestly, is simply, I would, if I were born as a Muslim, I would simply virtually dilute in my mind certain elements of Quran, and virtually wipe it out of my memory and reinforce my family members that we should only follow parts which suits us fine to live, let's say, for example, in London and prosper economically and do our stuff. And because I'm a person with a soul, it's not in my instinct to follow something brutal. But that would cause me some very serious mental problems, and this is something I need to address. You see, terrorists are recruiting people, drug addicts, and this kind of people from the edge. These are not the only groups which are recruiting them. Hare Krishna is big in recruiting those types, Jehovah's Witnesses, so it's not a surprise for the Islamic State. But one thing is very important to notice about Islam and suicide. You see, many people in Europe suffer from depression. Many people in Europe have all kinds of problems, especially, I would say, if they're coming from minorities, because they can also have, societies can usually have double standards for minorities. They can have more difficulties for finding a job, etc., etc. So people are prone to drug usage, and people are prone to depression and so on. With the Islam and with the Muslim drug addicts, Islam gives them ability to instantly leave this world and go to heaven immediately, to be surrounded with 72 virgins, with the streams full of wine, best wine, and the whatever they wish, Allah will give them. So, so this is the problem. We have a dangerous usage of despair, life despair caused by the entities, an entity behind the collective name called God or Allah. And this is exactly what's driving him to the solution these entities want. And this is one thing we have to calculate when we're talking about these things. You have to always try to observe the world from their point of view. If I were Muslim, if this Quran were my truth, if I were in this horrible situation, how would I reason? Well, I would also, as a Muslim, somebody who's thinking about suicide and leaving this world, I would really seriously considering bombing myself because of the Prophet, virtually. Virtually profit from the Prophet of Muhammad, and which is diabolical. And you have other elements which are clearly diabolical. You have this manipulation with sexuality, and you have to understand Eros and Thanatos, the sexuality and death are two very strong mechanisms. They are primordial mechanisms. And Islam is playing and preying on these mechanisms in people. The mechanism for annihilation, for murder, for rape, and this also explains raping. So of course, everything has its own point of view from that culture, and it's a powerful stimulant, that urge for self-annihilation and annihilation. Especially if it's backed by the sexual urge, and it's clearly if Allah is promising through the Prophet of Muhammad either 72 virgins or one made especially by Allah. And what incredible incentive is that for somebody who is really full of testosterone and misery at the same time. And these are powerful elements of mind control. That particular mind control offers. But I have to address other elements of Islam which are positive, which are universally positive, and you can see how devil is playing by these elements in our culture. Let's say elements in our culture which are totally diabolical. So you have half-drunken people, drugged people all over the streets, tattooed like savages. Okay, you're never going to see tattoo on me. It's absolutely primitive. I respect people who are making money on it from simply economic point of view. Everybody's struggling to make a buck, but it's absolutely disgusting, unhealthy, and totally not needed. And this is this barbaric behavior in Western society which is fueling disgust from a Muslim point of view. This is not the only thing. You have like our worship of dogs, where in many parks in my home city you simply can't walk normally, or you can't even enter because they're big guys. It's a big dogs. And in Islam, a dog is a filthy animal, and I concur with that. Pretty much pest for anybody else because it's aggressive and dangerous animal. I lived in Sukhumvit. Many people in Sukhumvit been attacked by dogs. Many people lost fingers and toes, and it's not a funny thing at all. This is part of Bangkok, and Bangkok is notorious for its dogs. So these are good elements. They despise alcohol. I totally despise alcohol. It's really a drug for primitives, and it shouldn't be done at all. What else? They praise hygiene, and actually, by the way, I like the way how they dress because it's very comfortable, and it's very nice. I have a couple of jalabas. I have one on me here. I've been using it past 12 or 13 years. I bought it in Morocco 2003. So Islamic clothes, I like them a lot. I was even wearing one Egyptian jalaba back home, but many people gave me bad comments. So, too much hate in the street, so I had to take it off. It's comfortable. It's really comfortable. It's very nice cotton. I love it. So, food and so on. So, you see, every culture is essentially construct. So once we are programmed that something is acceptable, like in our society it's acceptable to be half naked and drunk outside because it's a liberty, while on the other side it's unacceptable woman to be covered from head to toe. You know what I mean? Well, you know, question, why is that so stupid? Think twice. If she's like covered really head to toe, this is first of all, she's passing on message to everybody else that you know, she's not there to fool around on the street. The second thing is she's really not visually provoking anybody. You know what I mean? So, you know, you see what I'm trying to say. Everybody has a point. They also have a point when they say, look, half-naked drunk a girl on the street asking for a trouble. Well, she's not really asking for a trouble, but that was very stupid to be dressed like this, and now she has the consequences. You know what I mean? So it goes in both ways, and it's very difficult to see bullshit in all cultures because we've simply been programmed. And that goes I'm speaking for myself as a Westerner, and it goes for them as well. I don't know, like for the end, for the Muslims who've been watching this, well, if you're Muslims, and I'm sorry that I offended you, really, as your feelings, but I simply had to speak my point of view, and I was backing my point of view. I know that by back and forth I'm entering a debate which is like at least 1400 years old, where different parts could be seen in a different way. So this is all, again, point of view and how people wanna see reality. My story with the Quran and with Islam was you wouldn't expect it. Even after the war in Bosnia, I was convinced that Islam is a religion of peace, and I absolutely actually had no doubt. It's like that. As a New Ager, I considered Muhammad to be 15 years ago. I considered him to be like ascended master, somebody very spiritual, because of course I didn't read Quran and I didn't bother, you know, to think outside of the frame of a New Age, and which is very convenient. And then when I was pretty much convinced, maybe it's like one or two parts in the Quran. But what really struck my best friend at that time was Sasha from Rijeka, very nice guy, Muslim, but you know, born in Croatia, and at that time they've been really small minority, so they pretty much been integrated, and you know, they are coming from Bosnia. It's practically the same nation. Islamization there started like 20 years ago. It went quite a way, but trying to explain me that most of them are still pretty normal. And I asked him, and this was the biggest surprise for me. I asked him, Saleh, you know, is it true that there are these brutal parts in Quran? And he looked at me in the eye, straight in the eye. I said, no, that's all bullshit, mate. And I said, no, these things don't exist. And that was a surprise for me when I, you know, first personally surprised him. Like, he was really lying to me. When I find part in Quran, it says to kafir it's supposed to be alive. And you know, he's my best mate, and he's lying. and that was a, you know, personal thing. And but you know how it is. Yeah, I'm talking about personal thing now. When somebody who you love as a friend is lying to you, you don't always kind of recognize that to yourself. So I started to think, well, of course, you know, his thing, it is a different thing, and he has very liberal point of view on Quran, so he's interpreting it very, very differently and so on. And this is how I was simply explaining it to myself, but now I simply know. Human masses are organized in different categories. The terrorists, those who are volunteers, they are, you know, simply avant-garde, and Muslims like Sasha gonna follow that avant-garde as a conscript of the army, as somebody who's gonna be drafted into the conflict. So I was jumping from here and there, dancing on the same subject. I know one thing, I'm not going to stop following conflict in Europe, but mark my words, this is still not December. I wouldn't be out on the streets in Europe for the New Year's Eve. That's going to be probably bloodbath, or I'm expecting the tens of thousands of deaths in Europe in recent years, and that's something what's going to happen because it's simply going that way, whether we like it or not. And if nothing, this honest blog of an individual person is a good example how folks like me who don't have a backing of a media, who are not Illuminati, simply cannot be heard. And this is something, Pranay, I know that I've been talking for a while, but this is something, Pranay, I need to tell you. Is Dalai Lama, and pretty much everything what you see in the media, who's talking, if you see the face you're seeing Illuminati member. If you simply observing media, you're observing the project which was done by them. We are living in a system which is far more tightly controlled than people would think. Yes, I said the Dalai Lama is of course Illuminati member, what else? It's all theater. And I'm not really interested in the nice things he says about peace and peace and peace. I'm more interested about things he doesn't say, things like children disappearing for sacrifices, things like depopulation, things like chemtrails, things like morgellons, things like the soul manipulation on this planet for the purpose of extortion of prana. This is how I value my guru, my leader, you know. So I know that he's a big name, and I know that you guys been simply programmed certain guys to be big names and for certain categories of people, at least. But he's just an actor. He's doing his bidding. After him, you're going to have another actor and so on. I wouldn't take him too seriously. But I think he was doing very good spin. He was really playing his role very well. So that much about it. That was Kruno and Islam. And if you have any questions, please ask. Comments, please comment. And if you find me on Facebook, we could be friends. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.